My name is Sarah. I used to be the sister who remembered birthdays, who listened to midnight confessions, who held secrets like sacred things. Until the day I discovered I had been quietly erased from the most important day of my sister's life. The email wasn't meant for me. Aunt Linda had forwarded it by mistake, a simple slip of the finger that revealed everything. There it was, glowing on my phone screen at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, the complete guest list for Emma's wedding. I scrolled through it slowly, methodically, my heart doing that strange flutter thing it does when you're about to find out something that will change everything. My parents' names were there, our cousins from Oregon, high school friends Emma hadn't spoken to in years, even our neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who Emma once called that nosy old woman. But my name? My name was nowhere to be found. I read it again, then a third time. Each time the absence felt sharper, like a paper cut that gets deeper the more you acknowledge it. I wasn't there, in the carefully curated list of people deemed worthy of witnessing Emma step into her new life. I simply didn't exist. Before we continue, drop a comment. Where are you watching this from and what time is it there? I'd love to know how far this story is reaching. The thing about being erased is that it happens so quietly. You almost don't notice until it's complete. It's not dramatic. There's no confrontation, no slammed doors, no screaming matches. It's just absence. A space where you used to be, now filled with careful silence and polite redirection. Emma and I had grown up sharing everything. We shared a bedroom until I was 16. Our twin beds pushed so close together we could whisper secrets across the narrow gap between our pillows. We shared clothes, though hers always looked better on her. We shared the devastating night our parents sat us down and explained that sometimes people fall out of love, their voices careful and clinical as they divided our world into weekend schedules and holiday rotations. Through all of it, I had been the steady one, the one who listened when Emma cried about Dad's new girlfriend, the one who held her hair back when she got sick at her senior prom, the one who drove 4 hours to help her move into her first apartment, carrying boxes up 3 flights of stairs while she directed traffic from the sidewalk. I was the reliable sister, the one who would understand, the one who wouldn't make waves. Maybe that was my mistake. The changes started when Emma met David at that charity gala 18 months ago. David came from the kind of family that had foundation names on hospital wings and country club memberships passed down through generations. The kind of family that threw garden parties where the silverware was actual silver, and conversation flowed around stock portfolios and European vacations. Emma had always been beautiful, but suddenly she became polished. Her hair got highlights that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Her wardrobe shifted from Target finds to boutique pieces with names I couldn't pronounce. She started using words like summering and networking, as if she'd been born into that world instead of our cramped apartment above the laundromat where we'd spent our childhood. At first, I thought it was sweet. Emma had always dreamed big, always wanted more than what our small town could offer. If David's world could give her that, I was happy for her. I really was. But somewhere between the engagement party I wasn't invited to help plan and the bridal shower where I felt like a stranger in an expensive restaurant, I realized I was becoming inconvenient. My job at the regional retail acquisitions firm wasn't glamorous enough to mention at dinner parties. My apartment wasn't photogenic enough for her Instagram stories. My careful, thoughtful way of speaking didn't fit the bright, bubbly conversations that flowed around David's family like champagne. I started noticing the way Emma would deflect when people asked about me. "Oh, Sarah's doing her own thing," she'd say with a dismissive little wave, as if my life was some quirky hobby she'd grown out of. Or worse, she'd introduce me as my sister who works in business. The pause heavy with her inability to explain what I actually did. The truth was I was good at what I did. Very good. While Emma was posting ring selfies and venue tours, I was quietly climbing the ladder at Morrison & Associates, one of the most respected acquisition firms in the region. I had a talent for seeing potential where others saw problems. I could look at a struggling business and see the threads that, when pulled correctly, could weave it into something profitable and sustainable. But talent doesn't photograph well for social media. Success in my field was measured in contracts signed and territories secured, not likes and comments. So I became Emma's quiet sister, the one who sent thoughtful gifts and asked the right questions, but never quite fit into the narrative she was building for herself. The final conversation we had before I discovered the email still plays in my mind like a broken record. Emma had called me on a Sunday afternoon, her voice bright with excitement about the final wedding preparations. "I'm so stressed about the seating chart," she'd said, and I'd automatically offered to help, the way I always did. "Oh, that's sweet, but Mom's already handling it. You know how particular she is about these things." I did know. Mom was particular about everything when it came to Emma's wedding. She'd been planning it like a military operation, complete with color-coded spreadsheets and vendor meetings scheduled with corporate precision. I'd offered to help with those too, but there was always someone else already handling whatever needed to be done. "Well, let me know if there's anything I can do," I'd said, meaning it. "Actually," Emma had said, and I heard that careful tone she used when she was about to ask for something. "David's family is really traditional about these things, and they're paying for most of the wedding, so we're trying to keep the guest list pretty intimate. Just close family and really close friends, you know?" I should have known then. The way she emphasized really close, like she was drawing invisible circles around the people who mattered most. But I nodded along, understanding sister that I was, and told her I thought that was lovely. 3 weeks later, I learned that intimate apparently meant 180 people. Just not me. The night I found the email, I didn't call Emma. I didn't call anyone. I sat on my apartment floor in my pajamas, laptop balanced on my knees, and I went through every photo she'd posted in the past year. Every engagement party, every bridal shower, every girls' night and family dinner. I was in none of them. Somehow, without me even noticing, I'd been edited out of her life as carefully as a photo retoucher removes blemishes. In the morning, I did what I always did. I went to work. I sat through meetings and reviewed contracts and made decisions that would affect the livelihoods of hundreds of people. But all day, that email sat in my phone like a small, sharp stone in my shoe, making every step a little more difficult. It was during the 3 p.m. acquisition review meeting that everything changed. My colleague Marcus was presenting our latest target, a small but profitable bridal boutique chain called Blissful Beginnings. 7 locations across 3 states, strong local reputation, loyal customer base, but struggling with debt from an overzealous expansion 2 years prior. "The interesting thing," Marcus was saying, clicking through financial projections, "is that they've maintained their high-end market position despite the financial troubles. Their average transaction value is actually up 15% from last year." I knew that name. Blissful Beginnings. Emma had been obsessing over it for months, sending me screenshots of dresses from their Instagram, talking about how she was going to buy a franchise location someday, when she and David were really established. She'd gotten her wedding dress. There, of course, posted about it constantly, tagged them in every photo. Her unpaid brand ambassadorship had probably brought them dozens of customers. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here was my sister's dream business, struggling and vulnerable, sitting in a PowerPoint presentation in front of me like an unexpected gift. "What's the asking price?" I heard myself ask. Marcus flipped to the next slide. The number was significant, but not impossible. Well within our acquisition budget, especially if we could negotiate based on their current debt situation. "The current owners are motivated to sell," he continued. "They'd prefer to maintain the brand identity and keep existing staff, but they need to close within 60 days to avoid bankruptcy." I spent the rest of the meeting taking careful notes, asking the right questions, appearing professionally interested. But inside, something was crystallizing. A plan was forming that felt both perfectly logical and deliciously inevitable. After the meeting, I stayed late researching Blissful Beginnings. I read every review, studied their social media presence, analyzed their customer demographics. Emma's face smiled back at me from their tagged photos. The happy bride-to-be in her perfect dress, living her perfect life, surrounded by the perfect people who were worthy of sharing her perfect day. By Thursday, I had a complete acquisition, proposal ready. By Friday, I was sitting across from the owners of Blissful Beginnings, listening to them explain their situation with the kind of desperate hope that comes from watching everything you've built slowly slip away. Margaret and Tom Chen had built Blissful Beginnings from nothing 15 years ago. They were a quiet couple in their 60s, the kind of people who remembered every bride's name and sent handwritten anniversary cards to customers years after their weddings. Their story was one I'd heard countless times in my line of work. Passionate entrepreneurs who'd grown too fast, trusted the wrong advisors, and found themselves drowning in debt despite having a business that actually worked. We just want to make sure whoever takes over will honor what we've built, Margaret said, her hands folded carefully in her lap. These aren't just transactions to us. Every dress we sell is someone's dream day. I assured them that preserving the brand's identity was our priority. It wasn't a lie. Maintaining successful brand equity was basic business sense. But as I outlined our acquisition terms, fair and generous given their circumstances, I felt that strange duality that had been following me for weeks. I was genuinely helping these people save their life's work. I was also orchestrating the most elegant revenge I'd never planned. The deal closed on a Tuesday morning, 3 weeks before Emma's wedding. The paperwork was finalized, the money transferred, the ownership quietly shifted to Morrison & Associates, and by extension, to me as the lead acquisitions manager on the account. The Chens kept their positions as general managers, their staff stayed employed, their customers never knew anything had changed except for a small notice in the business registry that no one except lawyers and accountants ever read. I didn't tell anyone in my family. Not Mom, who was frantically coordinating last-minute wedding details. Not Dad, who'd called twice that week to ask if I needed help with anything for the wedding, seemingly unaware that I wouldn't be attending. And certainly not Emma, who was busy posting countdown photos and dress fittings and flowers arrangements, blissfully unaware that her dream boutique now belonged to the sister she'd forgotten to invite. The week before the wedding, I did something I'd never done before. I took a vacation day just to sit in my apartment and think. I ordered Chinese takeout and sprawled on my couch, laptop open to Emma's Instagram, watching her document every moment of her pre-wedding bliss. There she was at her final dress fitting, surrounded by David's sisters and our mother, all of them glowing with that particular happiness that comes from being included in something special. The photos were beautiful. Emma looked radiant, her face flushed with excitement as she stood in front of the mirror in her Blissful Beginnings gown, a cascade of ivory silk and delicate beading that probably cost more than I made in 2 months. The caption read, "Final, fitting at my absolute favorite bridal boutique. I've dreamed of owning a franchise here someday. A girl can dream, right? Blissful Beginnings. Bride-to-be knock dreams." I stared at that caption for a long time. A girl can dream, right? Well, Emma, dreams are funny things. Sometimes they come true in ways you never expected, for people you never considered. 2 days before the wedding, I made my only direct move. I called the manager at the downtown Blissful Beginnings location, the one where Emma had bought her dress, where she'd be going for her final alterations pickup. "This is Sarah Morrison from Morrison & Associates," I said, using my professional voice. "I wanted to personally ensure that one of your customers receives exceptional service for her final fitting appointment. Emma Patterson. Appointment this Thursday at 2 p.m. "Oh yes, Ms. Patterson. She's been such a lovely customer. Is there something specific you'd like us to do for her?" "Just make sure she understands how much we value her patronage," I said, carefully. "And perhaps you could give her this card with her dress." I drove to the boutique that afternoon and handed over a simple white envelope with Emma's name written in my careful script. Inside was a business card, my business card, with 3 words written on the back in the same handwriting: "Congratulations on everything." The manager, a sweet woman named Lisa who clearly had no idea about the family dynamics at play, promised to deliver it personally. Thursday came and went. I worked late, staying busy with quarterly reports and budget projections. Anything to keep my mind occupied. Friday was the rehearsal dinner that I also wasn't invited to. Saturday was the wedding day itself. I know what happened at the dress pickup because Mom called me that evening, her voice shaking in a way I'd never heard before. "Sarah," she said, and I could hear the careful control she was trying to maintain. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth." "Okay, Mom." Do you own that bridal shop?" I had prepared for this question, but hearing it out loud still made my heart race. "I work for the company that acquired it, yes." The silence stretched between us like a taut wire. Emma came home from her dress pickup crying. Mom said finally. She said there was a card with your name on it. I sent her a congratulations card. That seemed appropriate. "Sarah," Mom's voice broke on my name. "What have you done?" What had I done? I'd bought a struggling business and saved it from bankruptcy. I'd preserved jobs and honored a family legacy. I'd made a sound financial investment that would benefit everyone involved. I'd done exactly what I was trained to do, what I was good at, what I'd built my career on. I'd also taken the one thing my sister wanted most and made it mine instead. I did what I do, Mom. I acquired a business. But why that business? Out of all the businesses in the world, why did it have to be that one? Because sometimes the universe serves up perfect irony on a silver platter. Because sometimes the things we want most are also the things that can hurt us deepest. Because sometimes the invisible sister knows exactly how to become unforgettable. "It was a good investment," I said. Mom was quiet for so long I thought she might have hung up. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, sadder. "She's asking about you. For the first time in months, Emma is asking about you." "What's she asking?" "She wants to know why you didn't say anything. Why you didn't tell her you were buying. She wants to know if you did it because..." "Because what?" "Because of the wedding invitation." I closed my eyes. There it was, the question I'd been avoiding even in my own mind. Had I bought Blissful Beginnings because it was a good business opportunity that happened to be connected to Emma? Or had I bought it because it was connected to Emma and happened to be a good business opportunity? The truth was probably both. The truth was complicated and messy and human in all the ways that good revenge stories usually are. "I found out about the guest list 3 weeks ago," I said quietly. "The acquisition closed 2 weeks ago. You can do the math." Mom sighed, and in that sound I heard 27 years of being caught between two daughters who loved each other, but had never learned how to show it without keeping score. "The wedding is tomorrow," she said. "I know. You could still come. I could talk to Emma, explain." "Mom." I stopped her gently. "I was never supposed to be there. You all made that very clear. And honestly, I'm okay with that." It wasn't entirely true, but it wasn't entirely false either. I was hurt, yes, disappointed, absolutely. But I was also something else I hadn't expected to be, relieved. I didn't have to sit through a ceremony celebrating a relationship that had pushed me out. I didn't have to smile and make small talk with people who'd watched me be erased without saying a word. I didn't have to pretend that everything was fine when it wasn't. Saturday afternoon, while Emma was walking down the aisle in her Blissful Beginnings dress, I was sitting on my balcony with a glass of wine and a good book. The sun was warm on my face, the city spread out below me like a promise of all the things still to come. My phone was on silent. I'd earned this peace. Around sunset, my phone started buzzing with missed calls. Emma, Mom, Dad, even Aunt Linda, probably feeling guilty about the forwarded email that had started everything. I didn't answer any of them. On Monday morning, I got a text from Emma. "We need to talk." I responded, "Congratulations on your wedding. I hope it was everything you dreamed." She called immediately. I let it go to voicemail. Sarah, please. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. I messed up. I messed up so badly, and I don't know how to fix it. But buying my dress, shop? I don't even know what that is. Please call me back. Please. I saved the voicemail but didn't return the call. Over the next few weeks, Emma tried everything. Texts, calls, showing up at my apartment building, sending flowers to my office. She even tried reaching me through Marcus at work, which was professionally embarrassing for both of us. Each attempt felt like another small victory, proof that I was no longer invisible, no longer someone who could be quietly dismissed. But the strangest thing happened as the weeks turned into months. The satisfaction I'd expected to feel never fully materialized. Instead, I felt something more complex, more nuanced. I felt free. Free from being the sister who always understood, who never made waves, who absorbed disappointment like it was my job. Free from measuring my worth by how much I could give without asking for anything in return. Free from the exhausting work of making myself smaller so that Emma could feel bigger. Blissful beginnings flourished under our management. We expanded their online presence, streamlined their operations, and opened 2 new locations. Margaret and Tom Chen sent me a thank you card on the 1-year anniversary of the acquisition, telling me that their dream was alive because of what we'd done. Emma never did buy a franchise. She and David moved to his family's estate in Connecticut, where she started a lifestyle blog and became exactly the kind of person she'd always wanted to be. Her Instagram is full of perfectly curated moments from a perfectly curated life, and she looks happy. I'm glad for that. Genuinely. We don't talk anymore. Not because of anger, but because we finally understand something we'd been avoiding our whole lives. We were never as close as we pretended to be. We were sisters by accident of birth, but we were never really friends. The wedding invitation, or lack thereof, was just the moment when we both stopped pretending otherwise. Sometimes when I'm reviewing acquisition reports or sitting in board meetings, I think about that night I found the email. The hurt was real, sharp, and immediate. But it was also a gift, though I didn't know it at the time. It was permission to stop being the sister I thought I had to be and start being the person I actually was. Last month, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. My college roommate, Jessica, marrying her longtime partner in a small ceremony in Vermont. My name was handwritten on the envelope in Jessica's careful script, and tucked inside was a note. Sarah, I can't imagine celebrating this day without you there. Your friendship has meant everything to me over the years. I RSVP'd yes immediately. Because here's what I learned. The right people don't forget to invite you. They don't quietly erase you from their important moments. They don't make you beg for a seat at their table. The right people save you a seat without being asked, because they can't imagine the celebration being complete without you there. Emma taught me that lesson in the most painful way possible, but she taught it to me nonetheless. And for that, in a strange way, I'm grateful. They deleted my name from their guest list, but they couldn't delete me from my own story.